Millions of people have moved beyond addiction and the devastation that it causes their families and loved ones and found hope in recovery. But now there's a fresh new conversation around recovery. And I'm here with Dr. Jean LaCour, the founder of the International Association of Professional Recovery Coaches. Dr. Jean, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Kristen.
So what is the new conversation around recovery?
Well, you know, in the past, people have said, once an addict, always an addict. They define themselves, I'm a this and I'm a that. And we're saying, once a human being, always a human being. And there's so much more to people than their addictive background or their history.
What is the role of professional coaching and recovery?
Good question. You know, professional coaching is about the future. It's about possibilities. And addiction recovery has often been about losses and past struggles. So when we begin to talk about life coaching and we add that to addiction recovery, we end up having a conversation really about possibilities. And so that's what I'm all about, is changing and reinventing the recovery conversation so we move beyond our stories of the past and help people to connect to their future self.
So you have been in the addiction recovery institution and conversation for 25 years.
Yes.
Can you share with us a little bit about your personal story?
Well, you know, half of all Americans grew up in a home where there was alcoholism. You know, one parent or more. And my grandmother was married to an alcoholic, my mother was married to an alcoholic, and I ended up marrying a man who became alcoholic. Even though, you know, we kind of went through that hippie period, some people can stop and some people cannot. So it grew out of our personal struggle. And no one knows when they begin to use a drug who can stop and who cannot. And part of our recovery story in the 80s was trying to find help when no one believed that my husband really had a problem. And it turned into a lifelong calling and work for both of us.
So what do you see is shifting right now in recovery? I mean, you're working with people who have moved beyond their addiction.
Yes.
It's been 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. What are they looking for?
Okay. They're looking for new direction. And there are, like you say, there's stages of recovery. And initially, it's one day at a time, you know. But that's not your whole life, you know. And so they're seeing that there's possibilities. They're learning that they really do have personal strengths that they didn't know about. They really do have deep core values that a coach can help surface those and help them redefine, you know, their life purpose. And that life purpose usually is about the courage of what they've come through and the deep humility. Many people are so filled with the gratitude and the serenity of the new life that they've found. And that coaching piece is really what's been added, you know, in a time of wellness and looking at the future of wholeness, that there's much more to life than being defined by your status as an addict once upon a time.
So you've created a comprehensive certification program that trains individuals how to be a professional recovery coach. Who is this for?
This is for really anyone who has a deep desire to help people, who has an understanding, a heart sense about recovery and what people have been through. So it doesn't matter if you have a PhD, if you're a medical doctor, if you are a therapist, if you're a person in recovery, a loved one. It's not about your past credentials. We train you with everything you need. So if you need life coach training, we have that component. And then we have the training that is all about addiction recovery. You're not a therapist, you're not a counselor, you truly are someone who is opening new doors for people.
And what have you seen happening with this fresh approach in our society?
Yes, well, it's exciting and it matches up with what we're seeing everywhere. There is a wellness movement, there's a spirituality movement, there's a life focus that we can be more, and that we really are a culture that wants to succeed and perform well. So there's a gravitation towards coaching. People like to be coached, but people don't want to go back to the therapist, back to the counselor, always back to the rooms. but they want to see that there's life beyond that. And so we're having such amazing response, and our students are loving the training. They're learning things they never imagined about helping themselves and helping others in a very upbeat, new, exciting way. It's energizing. I never realized how energizing the coach approach is.
Dr. Jean LaCour, a pioneer in the recovery movement.
Thank you, Kristen.